What's going on, everyone? This is Sherry, and you are tuned into She Said What She Said, where we interview badass women in the sports world and beyond. I hope you guys are doing all right on this blizzardy day. It is cold, blizzardy, so I have a Corona to pretend that I am in Mexico or somewhere a little bit nicer. I had a fun weekend, went to the Chicago Blitz's tryouts. With D-Sun, he had the video camera. We were getting some footage, got to see B, got to see some of the rookies. So we're going to do some stuff with them this season. It's definitely going to be fun. Excited to have some women's tackle football happening again. And let me tell you, some of those girls are ready to tackle a bitch, per their words. So tonight I don't have a co-host because we were going to do this whole show in my living room, and then Mother Nature was like, no, you don't want to do that. So I have my guests, and my guests, for you guys that know me, this is obviously one of my bestest friends in the whole wide world. A pea in my pod. Is that an expression? If it is, cool. If it's not, it's my expression now. So one of the peas in my pod, Miss Shanna Pickett, also known as Snacks. Hey
Girl.
Hey, welcome.
How art thou?
Thou is wonderful to see you, although I would have rather had you on my couch next to me. That would have been fun.
Too, but it's cars literally stuck in the middle of the street on my block right now.
Yeah, don't drive to me right now. It's not that deep. You would have had to like move in yesterday before the storm started and just stay here for like a week. Like, I live here now, which I mean would have
You're
been
not
fine.
getting rid of me. I would have been there with the pets.
Eating some German potato salad, which you would have made today as well.
I need it in my life.
I know. It's a great recipe, new one from my mom, and it's now the recipe. So next time I see you, that is what we'll be eating, amongst other things. So please tell the people why your nickname is Snacks.
If you were sitting next to me right now, you would see a bag of popcorn, a half a salad, a bag of Hershey's Kisses with almonds, and a Take 5. So that is why they call me Snacks. I always have something to eat on hand because I get hangry. So we're always eating around these parts.
Yes, yeah. When did you first get that nickname?
So in high school, most of my friends called me Poo Poo because that's what my mama called me.
Oh, Snacky Poo.
But yes, so there were a select few, because my initials are SP, they called me Snack Pack. And when I started playing flag football, I needed a jersey name. And Snack Pack just reminded me of when I was a kid and felt a little juvenile. So I shortened it to Snacks, and it caught on like wildfire. 10 years later, here we
are. Most people don't even know what your real name is?
No, they don't.
And I can relate to that because you didn't know what my real name was either until you tried to pay me on PayPal.
I was like, yeah, this money is going to the wrong person because I don't know no damn Cheryl. But yeah, but people usually, and then even when they find me on Facebook, because I introduce myself as Snacks, they find me on Facebook and they say my name wrong, which is hilarious. Like, just stick to Snacks. Like, we can be friends on Facebook and you still call me by my nickname. I'm okay with that.
Absolutely. And I had a blast making your promotional poster, as you know, from the 15 different versions that I sent over to you.
That is so funny because I'm pretty sure I got stuff on the internet. I got a ton of pictures here, but I'm old. So these are photos, not, digital anything that I can send out. It's let me take a picture of this picture and send it.
Us older athletes are like your picture. There was like one in the University of Illinois newspaper, but it was blurry because it was from 2004 or something. I can't use this.
Right. All my media guide pictures are on there, but then I save it and it's like this
Mhm.
pixelated blur of something. I'm like, oh, that might be me, but it could be somebody else. So yeah, that
Oh
wasn't gonna work.
man. So then I went into her Instagram and I actually went to the very beginning of your Instagram, liking things as I went along, as per a psycho stalker does, pulling
I
random
saw that.
pictures.
I'm like, yeah, she did a deep dive on this page.
I went to all of them. Oh my god, my pets are fighting next to me. Yeah, and then I picked out some other. So the end product that you guys saw would be a nice old photo from you from your media guide with one of my favorite flag football photos, sad snacks, or fuck you, Bobby picture. But there were also variations where made her as Waldo and I put her in places. It was a really fun time. I think I had too much fun making your promotional flyer.
I like seeing all of the drafts. I think I would have been cool with all of them. Except for the
Even though
one where the background messed up the trophy. I'm like, what is that?
I was so mad. Yeah, I'm not good enough at these. Like, I just do the remove background, and it took away the middle of the trophy. So you're holding this
And,
like empty thing.
and that's so weird because I'm like, how does the middle of the trophy count as the background? Like, what is this is supposed to
I
be
think it was because
technology.
it was like clear, and so it was grabbing the sides of the trophy. Yeah, that was funny.
It
Because
was,
I
I
was
think it's gold though. Gold or black.
yeah, it's something that's not the same color. I don't know enough about
Right.
these things to know, but yeah, let me tell you, the most fun I've ever had making a promo is yours. What if I make her really big and put her upside down? And
The one with me in the stripy socks, like this little in the background, that was my favorite one.
there she is watching you go. Oh my god, that's the Waldo one. Never forget. I might send you some more. I might just throw that in photos to you and just like text them to you at random, completely random times. Just
You know me, I'm always down for a good laugh.
yeah, I was doing that when I first started playing with the photoshopping and the cutting out. I took out a photo of my sister's dog and I started putting it in space. I just put it everywhere. I put it on my buddy's engagement picture. I just put it in a bunch of random things, and so they kept getting random photos of Astro
I
anywhere but.
haven't done any of that yet because I'm a nerd, so I spend most of my time reading.
Well, that's good. Reading is good. I'm the one literally playing on my phone, putting a dog on the moon. So, in his defense, his name is Astro. So,
Well, then it's apropos. Like you have to put them on the moon.
duh. I hope she puts that on her Christmas card next year. Jody, when you watch this, let's put Astro in space. Put him on the Christmas
Absolutely.
card. Uh,
Absolutely.
but we're not here to talk about me and my creative art projects. We are here to talk about you.
You know, I'm not really good at that.
I know, but that's okay because I'm going to guide you and I'm going to ask the questions. And I probably know more about your track stats than you do.
Probably. And then like when I expose it, everybody's like, why didn't you tell me all of that? I just don't walk around saying, oh yeah, and by the way, I did such and such and such and such, and I was this good 20 years ago. I don't get into all of that.
I mean, I was talking to a guy last night and he was, he had played football in college and I was talking to him about his career and this. And then he's like, oh, where do you run? I was like, Penn State. He was like, I would have led with that. If I were you, I would just go. I was like, no, but it's weird. It's a long time ago. I'm the same way. Like,
Right.
if you ask me, I'll tell you, but I'm not like, hi, I'm Sherry
So if
Green
I
and
have
I
on the
ran track and
t-shirt,
field.
if I'm wearing an Illinois track and field t-shirt, then sure, that's my way of leading with it. But other than that,
Mm. Hmm. So starting from the beginning, when did you first realize that you were fast?
I was in elementary school. I would take any and every opportunity to race somebody that I could when I wasn't jumping double dutch.
Hmm.
And I when my school first offered organized track and field when I was in third grade, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And they made me run against the fourth and fifth graders because I was beating everybody in my age group. And it was like, I don't know if maybe a parent complained or it could have been my dad, like, she's too fast for these kids. But I know I spent one track meet running with the kids in my age group. And then after that, it was running with the older kids. And then I could beat almost everybody in my neighborhood. So I was really young when I realized, hey, I'm pretty quick. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like running for a long time, but I like running really, really fast. And
Keyword.
then
Long time.
I was a late bloomer when it came to riding bikes because I'm really
Okay.
clumsy. And so I lived on a block with stoops and trees, and I ran into all of the trees. I ran into all of the stoops, and I was always falling. So I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I don't need a bike. I have skates, and I was just as fast on my skates as some of my friends were on their bikes. And so it was like, oh, okay. Kind of quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a young thing when I realized I was kind of fast.
I can attest to your clumsiness. Uh,
Yeah, it started very early. I've been a clutch
I think
behind.
it's when you're a speedster. I mean, I run into things all the time. You're a little bit more clumsy than me, but like something like our body just moves so fast, we just can't control it all the time. And
That's what my mom used to say. She's like, your body is moving faster than your brain can actually control it. And so I'm like,
Mhm.
I used to trip up stairs all the time. I mean, all the time.
Watch out for that
It was,
stare.
yeah, it it was bad.
Are your brothers fast at all?
No.
No, I was trying to give them some
I'm
credit.
my baby brother, I feel like if he had put in the work, he would have been a whole lot faster because he was quick. Don't get me wrong. Like when they
Hmm.
played baseball, he could steal a base pretty easily. They would put him in the pinch run, but by the time he got to high school, it was just like, I'm kind of not with it. So he ended up being a power lifter.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's built for that. Nice. And what about your
But
parents? Your parents athletic?
my mom was a swimmer,
Oh,
but that's about it. Sometimes I really truly feel like an alien because I'm like, where did I get this? I still can't swim to this day. So it's like, where did I
just right. Yeah.
get this from? I don't know. Maybe, way back, some of my ancestors were athletic, but in my immediate, it's just me.
You're just the redheaded stepchild of the family.
Real shit. Real shit. I'm the only thin one for the most part. Not that everybody's fat, but
They're
everybody's usually,
regular people. You're super thin.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say super thin, but
What up, John?
hey.
How are you, buddy? Uh, that's right. We're live, so people can say hi to us. And I
And we
need
gonna
to,
see how that.
hell yeah, I got to remember to do that because I have all the controls today, and it is a very big responsibility, but I'm getting a lot better at it. All
Well,
right,
I'm
so
proud of you.
thank you. The first time I did it, I was like, I don't know what's going on. So, and you didn't really play any other sports in
I
high
did
school or middle school, or you did? Oh, what did you play?
not in high school,
Okay.
but I was a pretty high level cheerleader. I
Oh, I knew that.
tumbled.
Yes, yes. Which is
I
funny
also
because you're clumsy, but then you are just tumbling around.
and like never failed when I did stuff like that. So, but yeah, I was a tumbler. I played softball. I tried my hand at volleyball, but when they was like, you gotta dive on the floor for the ball, I was like, that's not for me. Um, but yeah, once I got to high school, matter of fact, I would say once I got to eighth grade, it was
Hmm.
just track and straight track from there on out.
Hmm. Same for me. And did you know around eighth grade, were you like, yeah, I'm probably going to be like a D1 athlete? Did you think about that at an early age? Did you kind of just know that you were a little bit better?
This is what I will honestly say. I was going to be an astrophysicist.
She's a nerd, everybody. She's really smart.
I had more fun. Not once did I contemplate playing sports in college until maybe my sophomore year of high school, when I became an All-American for the first time. And that was when I was like, oh, you know what? I think, this could pay for college. So it was I was late to the whole I'm gonna play sports in college party for sure.
Okay. No, I just assumed you were like, I'm better than that. So right, you were a nerd. And so let's talk about where you went to high school about.
Hold on. Because going in and out and I can barely hear what's going on.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I think I left everyone for a second. So let's tell everyone where you went to high school.
I am a Mustang. I went to Morgan Park on the south side of Chicago.
And for people that don't know Chicago, that is a very smarty pants school and also a very good athletic school, at least in certain sports.
Yeah, things have changed a little bit now, but back in my day, as the old folks like to say, we were definitely, athletic nerds, a lot of us.
Fantastic. So I first met Snacks when we were playing flag football. Obviously, it was love at first sight. And then I learned where she ran college, and I was like, oh shit, we ran against each other in college. And then I learned when she went to high school, and I realized, oh shit, we ran against each other in high school too.
Yeah, and I was like, that is really strange. It was like, as we were destined to be friends.
Yeah, the universe was like, try here. Oh, okay, try here.
Nah, that is
God damn it, you need to be here. It's right here.
Right. Like it, and I was like, we didn't run all of the same events, but I know you ran the 4 and I ran the 4. And I was really surprised that we like never ended up in the same heat.
I did find my sophomore year indoor, and so your junior year indoor at Big Tens, we both ran the finals of the 400, but because it was the different heats, you were in one heat and I was in the other, and I think you placed one place ahead of me.
That is hilarious.
You bitch.
Now I'm gonna have to go back and look.
But so in high school, there was this meet in Ohio called Levana Martin.
Martin Trotwood.
And so a bunch of the good schools from Ohio would go there. My school, Ann Arbor Pioneer, the best team in Michigan, one of the best in the country at the time, would come down, and Morgan Park would come on over from Illinois.
And so wait, you all, I know there were a couple of schools from Ann Arbor that also went to the Mid-East Invitational Indoor that used to be at Indiana. You all didn't go to that meet?
No, we didn't go to that one. We just went to Levana Martin.
Oh, okay. So there must have been a couple of the other one of the other high schools.
The not as good one. And that high school or that track meet is the only track meet in high school, save for like US ATF, like nationals and stuff, that I never won an event. Ever. We could never beat your guys' 4x1 or 4x2. The team won, obviously, but I could never win an event.
And I think I definitely remember running the 4x2 at that meet. I might have run the 4x1 as well.
What leg did you normally run in the 4x2?
I didn't get to run it very often. So I ran it a handful of times and I was third a few times. And then I went years without being able to do it because there were other events that my coach wanted me to run, because I also jumped and hurdled.
Right.
So that's 2 events down, immediately. And then the next time I ran the 4x2 was nationals my senior year, and I was first.
Okay. All right. So maybe we did run against each other. What leg did you run on the 4x1?
It depends on the year.
Your senior year.
So
Let's look. I'm making this real personal. Your senior year. What leg did you run on it?
I was third.
Oh, okay. I was anger. So I'm just trying to find a time where we ran against each other. Like maybe my dad has some old VHS of us. He probably does. He used to record like all the meets.
I'm pretty sure I'm in there somewhere. But yeah, my senior year, I was third leg.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. So that meet, my senior year going in, I was like, because I think I'd gotten like third in the 200 my junior year, and I was like, oh, the people, the two people that beat me might have been you, or maybe you're only running the hurdles.
No,
Graduating
so your junior year was my
your
senior
senior
year.
year.
And that was the first time my coach put me in the 200.
Okay.
And I think I got second. But the time I ran was just like ridiculous. And that was when he was like, oh, yeah, you're doing this at state. And I'm like, I should have been doing this my whole 4 years, but we're not going to go there.
So that's it. That's the one we ran against each other. So you got second, and I'm pretty sure I got third. You bitch. So I went in my senior year thinking that I was like, all right, look, because there's not too many people in, the Illinois, Michigan, Ohio area that are just going to come up and be at this meet. But then there's a little freshman named Alexandria Anderson.
Yep.
Oh, my fucking God. For people that don't know track, this chick was, I don't know how many time All-American in college and blew out every single state record.
She was on one of the Olympic 4x1s. One year, I don't remember if it was her sophomore year or her junior year. She won the state trophy by herself. I think it was like the second or third place trophy, but she scored all the points. Yeah. Alex was a dog.
Yeah, she was. And so that year my coach was thinking of moving me up to like the 400, but like I ran, that was like one of our first meets, and my 100 time was pretty solid for like, the open, like second meet or something of the year. I think I got fourth, and my dad goes, no one has ever beaten you as badly as that girl just beat you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure she ran like an 11.6 her freshman year, the second meet of the year, and I ran like a 12.2, maybe a 12.3 because it was early in the season. And yeah, it was like, and so when it came to the 200, I don't remember what time I ran. I ran 25 point something. She probably ran 24.1. She was probably jogging the last 10 meters because I was so fucking far behind her.
Yeah, I was always like, yay, I'm glad I'm getting out of here while I still have a chance to go out really, really good. And, she came right behind me.
Man, that girl was, and she was tall too, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think she's like 5'9".
Yeah, she's a little taller than you. Yeah, it definitely. So that's the only meet that I've never won in a single event, not even a relay. Damn shame.
I'm trying to think I don't know if I have any meets like that.
Yeah, bitch, because you were beating me.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I was about to say I never won anything at the Mid-East Regional, but then my senior year I won the hurdles. So
okay.
I guess not.
Yeah. NCAAs. I don't think you won.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We had to go to the highest level to find a meet where you didn't win an event.
Yeah, the NCs is literally the only meet I didn't win anything. I placed, but I didn't win.
Exactly. So I didn't know you didn't start running the 200 until your senior year.
So the very first race I ever ran in my organized track career, it was a 220 because the track was yards and not meters. So that's still, the 200. Then my freshman year, I did the 1 and the 2 because and the 8 because I was scared to run. When I got to the meet and my coach was like, okay, you're gonna run hurdles at this meet. And I saw the hurdles. I'm like, hold on. This is not what we did in practice. I don't know what these are. And so he's like, well, you're either gonna run the hurdles or you're gonna run the 4x8. I guess he thought I was gonna be like, oh, I'll do the hurdles. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, give me that baton.
Yeah.
So my freshman year at the city meet, I had the strangest lineup of events. I ran the 4x8, the 4x2, and the 4x4. It was really strange. So that summer, I ran the 1 and the 2, and then my sophomore year was when I really got into the hurdles. Okay. So I did the 200 indoor every now and then, but I didn't get back into the 200 outdoor until I ran it once in Ohio, and then I didn't run it again until state qualifying.
Oh, okay.
So the state final meet was, I think, my 4th or 5th 200 of the entire season. Mm-hmm. And it was like, at that point, when I ran it in Ohio and he saw what I ran, I think I ran like 24.3 or something like that. And he was like, he was kind of shocked. And I knew I could do this. But, you're not really, especially with my coach, you do what he tells you to do. You're not, we weren't really empowered to say, hey, I really don't think this race fits me. I really need to do something else. So my junior year, I ran the 300 hurdles, even though I hated them. And I purposely sabotaged myself when I got to state because I'm like, I'm not doing this. So I definitely jogged, and I jogged and still almost made the final. I was praying that somebody like pull some kind of performance out of their ass so that I didn't have to do it. And then he finally realized, okay, I'm not about to keep making her do this because it's a waste of everybody's time. And so, yeah, my senior year was like, well, you ran it, and the first time you ran it, like, now you're one of the top 200 meter runners in the state. There's no way you're not doing it at state.
Okay. So your best 200 time in high school, at the time, it was a number 7 all time in the state of Illinois. You ran a 24.03.
I think it was 03 or 06. I think it was 24.06.
Okay. Yeah, you were somewhere in there. So at the time, you were number 7 all time, and you are still in the top 20 all time in the state of Illinois. I checked the other day because I have no life, and I look up your track stats all day.
So the one thing that not very many people know, because I am so clumsy, I was also, when I graduated, the number 2 hurdler, 100 hurdler all time. The only person
I didn't even look at that.
Yeah, the only person I broke the state record, but I didn't set it because I got second. The only person who ever beat me, and I am not ashamed to say, because she ended up, I think she won the Olympic gold medal, Dawn Harper. The only person.
Yes, that's right. She's in Illinois.
Yeah, the only person who beat me in the 100 hurdles my senior year. But yeah, when I graduated from high school, I was number 7 in the 200, but I was number 2 in the 100 hurdles.
What did you run in the 100 hurdles in high school?
1386.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. That's quite well. Well, now I have to go and look up to see what your ranking in that event currently is sitting at.
I think I'm 7.
You dropped down at 7th? Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look. Nice. So let's talk, going, you went to Illinois. Obviously, you didn't choose this school, but it would have been cooler. But what other schools did you look into going to, or were you like Illinois or bust?
No. So Illinois was actually my number 3 school.
Oh.
My number 1 school was LSU. My number 2 school was Miami. And they were both recruiting me very heavily. But you know how some high school coaches act as a gatekeeper?
Yep.
That was my high school coach. And so he did not allow anybody to have access to me in terms of, phone calls and setting up visits and stuff like that until
Mm.
after the high school season. And
Oh,
for those who don't know, track signing date is in February. So, of course, they're not going to be holding on to full scholarships when there are other girls in the pipeline. And by the time I was able to start setting up visits and sign and do all that stuff, it like the draft, when your top choices are gone, Illinois was my next top choice. And so I just went there.
damn.
But
I didn't know
that
that.
was not where I wanted to go.
Okay. I mean, does anyone dream about Urbana-Champaign? I think some people do, but
I wanted to get out of the state. I mean, not
yeah,
that I was, well aware that Illinois was still, Division I, major conference, all that good stuff.
very
I
good
had
sprint school at the time.
right, and one of my teammates who was also, my big sister at the time was already there. So, there were definite incentives to going to Illinois. It just wasn't my top choice.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Okay. So getting to Illinois, I know you had some beef with your academic advisor as far as your major. Let's get into that. Let's throw some shade at that bitch.
So, we're just now learning about implicit bias and things like that. When I sat down with my academic advisor, I told her that my intended major was astrophysics. I told her that from the very beginning. And she's like, with your schedule and your traveling, I don't think, I don't think it'll be easy for you to, that major probably won't be the best for you and things that. And I'm like, well, if you looked at, any of my academic records up until that point, I wasn't one of those athletes who just got into the school because I was a good athlete. I had
Mm-hmm.
already earned the President's Award from the University of Illinois for academics.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I hadn't have taken an academic scholarship, an athletic scholarship, my academic stats were, up there. I was a 28 ACT, 1350 SAT, damn near 4.0 unweighted GPA. I was, a really, really good student. And so I really don't think she did a deep dive into my academic history. She just
Mm-hmm.
saw this Black girl from the South Side of
Mm-hmm.
Chicago sitting in front of her with my gold chain on a full athletic scholarship, and was like, oh, this kid can't possibly know what she's talking about. So I was undeclared for my first 2 years
Mm-hmm.
because she convinced me that that was the way to go. Like I said, well, if I'm not going to major in astrophysics, I have no idea what I really want to do. And so I was undeclared for my first 2 years, and then went to my backup, which was sports management, because there was, my second preferred career path was going to be as an agent.
Mm-hmm.
So the two very different
Just
career
a
paths,
little.
but those were my top two. I was either gonna, be discovering stars and planets and shit, or I was gonna be negotiating contracts for professional athletes. Those were the only two things I wanted to do.
Nice.
But yeah, you find out years later, when we're an adult and there's this racial awakening and we're talking about, implicit biases, you find out that that's what you were a victim of when you realize that two of your white female teammates were engineering majors.
Oh.
And they weren't convinced that engineering would be too hard for them to maintain, even though they have to do way more lab hours than the astronomy program did. And so, yeah, I can honestly sit back and say I was probably a victim of her biases, because she was, just a regular old, just a white lady,
It's
you
white
know.
lady. Yeah.
and she ended up not being my academic advisor for my last 2 years. My
Mhm.
last 2 years, my academic advisor was a Black man. And he's like, well, why didn't you do such and such and such and such? And I'm like, because Kristen told me it was going to be too hard for me to maintain as, an athlete. And I was a first generation college student. Both my
Okay.
parents went to college, but they didn't graduate.
Okay.
So it's not like I had any frame of reference and I could call them like, well, hey, do you think, what do you think about this? I really had to just kind of take her word for it and believe that she had my best interest at heart.
Which
And
sucks
then,
because I mean, at minimum, she could have seen how you did with like one or two hard ones your first semester, right?
well, my first semester ended up accidentally confirming what she thought because
Oh.
I went to school at fall of 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So a month into my first semester, 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And then before 9/11, a tornado came through campus.
Oh shit.
And I also went to school with my boyfriend at the time, and that was not really working out. And I had classes that I hated. And once I realized, oh, wait, I don't have to go, I didn't.
Okay.
And so I ended up after my first semester on academic probation.
Oh.
And then it was like, and I can't say this for sure, but knowing what I know now, in her head, she was probably like, ha, see, I told you. But I had astronomy that semester and I got an A. And
Yeah.
so the whole reason why my GPA was dragged down the way that it was is because I never went to my speech comm class. Ever.
Because you weren't
Like,
interested.
I hated it. Even
Mm-hmm.
when I took my placement test, I tested out of math. I
Mm-hmm.
tested out of writing. I got 12 hours of Spanish, just so I
Muy
know.
bien.
Gracias. It was actually my minor. I'm really
Oh,
ashamed to
really? I
admit
didn't know
that.
that.
Yeah, I'm really ashamed to admit that I am super rusty now. I can still read anything, and
Mm-hmm.
when I'm watching TV and I see subtitles, I'm like, that is not what they said. But my speaking fluency is not where it used to be.
Yeah, I'm on day 14 of my current Duolingo Spanish streak. Woo!
Well, I wish you would have said something because I could have helped you out.
I know. But yeah, I know. I'm just trying to get back into it. Just like you. Like I can remember the grammar really easily, but like the vocab and the listening, I'm like, hey, huh?
See, for me, it's all of the different verb conjugations. I know what verb I want to use, but it's like, okay, because in past tense, there are two different versions of the past tense depending on whether something is past and ongoing or past and ended. And so it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
am I going for this one or this one? But yeah,
Yeah,
it
I'm
so
currently still doing the present tense in my review. I'm only on unit 2. So someday I'll get there though. But I did Spanish for a bunch of years too. But yeah, I lose it real quick.
No, I ended up having to pick it up as a minor because otherwise I finished college in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And had I not picked up a minor, I would have had to forfeit my senior year of eligibility because I would not have had any classes to take. And so by picking up a minor, it allowed me to replace some of my major classes with the minor classes so that I had major classes to take my senior year. And for my major, my last semester had to be an internship. Now,
Oh.
obviously, I can't do an internship in the spring. That's my season.
Yep.
So adding those extra, I added an extra 18 or 20 hours to my
Mm-hmm.
degree helped me, like I said, spread my major classes out so that, because I didn't want to give up my last year eligibility, especially because I
No, no.
wasn't entirely happy with my junior year.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a phenomenal indoor season junior year, but outdoor was just kind of okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, once I'm like, okay, I already have, these hours of the introductory Spanish, you know, out of the way. I didn't have to take them. So I'm like, let me just go ahead, add these hours, and bing, bang, boom. I ended up with a Spanish major. I mean, minor.
Got it. Got it. I did the same. I had to pick up a minor, or else I would have easily. I had nothing to do after 3.5. I could have done it in 3.5 would have been my normal, but yeah, I had to pick up a minor as well. I picked
Yeah, like
recreation park and tourism management as my minor. Because why not?
that was my major,
Mm-hmm.
recreation sport. Well, the technical was recreation, sport, and tourism, but my
Okay.
concentration was sports.
Okay. See, my tourism classes were some of my favorite in college.
I don't think I took any tourism classes because I didn't have to.
Got it.
I might have taken one, but that was one of the ones that everybody in the major had to take. It wasn't one of the concentration classes at all.
Okay. Yeah, I had one of our classes, it was like leisure studies, but the professor called it leisure. Leisure.
So when I first chose my major, it was leisure studies. And it was a pain in the ass trying to explain to people, like, no, I'm not studying, just sitting around watching TV. Or I'm like, no. So when the department changed it from leisure studies to recreation, sport, and tourism, I'm like, yeah, this is a mouthful, but it cuts out all of that extra explanation I had to do
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I
you
would tell
can't something
somebody
you can't call a major leisure studies.
leisure studies, leisure studies. When I told my parents that's what I was doing, they
Right. They're like
flipped the fuck
you're going to
out.
college
Like,
for what? For
right,
what?
you did all that work to get a full scholarship to do that. And I'm like, no, 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 it's a real thing. When you go to the park and the manager of the park probably has a degree in what I'm getting my
Mhm.
degree in. So that was a godsend when they changed it from leisure studies to rec sport and tourism, because it was really, kind of ridiculous trying to tell people, you're so smart and you went there to study leisure.
Yeah. Yeah, I had my favorite professor, I don't remember his name, but he taught some tourism classes, so I took a couple of them. Very interesting. Again, because you don't think that anything, but it was like the stages of tourism, the types of tourism, all these things that people that actually work in the industry need to know.
My
So,
favorite thing to study was fan behavior,
oh,
because that's
yeah.
like what people don't know is every time you go to a sporting event, there is somebody who has gotten paid to socially engineer your experience. So finding out about how lighting and
Mm-hmm.
your food choices and how seating works, and the private seating licenses, all of that stuff, and then hooliganism in Europe with the soccer, like that, all of that stuff was just like, because I like humans. Not, well,
Yeah.
I don't like humans, but I like
I like to study humans.
I like to study humans and why they do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So the fam that class was one of my favorite classes.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we had some arena classes, but you're right. I mean, everything is very, very scripted on what happens during an
Hmm.
actual event. And those were actually, I
Yeah,
really
literally.
found. I was gonna say I really found my classes in my jock minor to be more useful than my marketing classes in the prestigious business school because I felt like they were more applicable to the actual real world.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
After, taking business classes when I was getting my master's, I could definitely see how because I feel like a lot of my sports management classes were more useful to me than the business classes I took.
Yeah, because I still remember a lot of the stuff from those, and yeah, they were more fun as well. So let's talk though about your collegiate career because you had a pretty good career over at Illinois.
I would say it was okay. I mean, I accomplished almost all of my goals.
Hmm.
The one goal that I did not get a chance to accomplish, and I got really, really close, was being an individual All-American.
Okay. Hmm.
And the thing that I would say is just when you can do a lot of things and you really can't specialize or like focus in on one area, it can be really difficult. You know, don't get me wrong, there are people who can do it, but I'm one of those people who was one event away from being a heptathlete.
Mm-hmm.
I could not high jump.
Absolutely. Oh, it was the high jump that got you. Okay.
Could not high jump to save my life. And I think it's because of the way it was taught to me. Like all of this length, all of this height, you would think I'd be kind of decent at basketball. No, I suck at it. Literally suck at it. And so when I was being taught high jump, everybody said, you go into it like you're doing a layup. I can't do a fucking layup.
Like,
so
right.
I'm like, the connection is not being made in my brain. So when I went to college, I ran the hurdles. But one of the reasons why I was happy to go to Illinois is because they already had, I want to say, 3 All-American hurdles before I even got there.
Yep.
And so the summer after my senior year, when I was running really, really fast, but hitting hurdles and hitting those hurdles was keeping me from getting the times that I wanted to get. It was like, okay, hurdles is something that I'm doing because I can do it, but it's not where my strength lies. So once I got to college, I dropped hurdles, but then I picked up the 4. So now I'm running, the 4x1 and the 2 and the 4 and the 4x4, and I was long jumping. So I'm kind of like all over the place for the whole meet and really couldn't lock in on one particular event. So I was definitely good enough to final in every Big Ten I went to, but I think the only event where I could say I was ranked high enough in the country to be on the first page of people when you scroll through the college rankings was long jump.
Yeah.
And that didn't come until my senior year.
Which you got 3rd place at Big Tens, and so you got an individual medal. Holler.
Yuppie.
Nice. And so you
that was the only goal I didn't get. I was not an individual All-American.
But you were a relay All-American.
Yeah.
4x1 both times, correct? Yeah, y'all had a good. Although I did look it up, and at Big Ten's your senior year, Penn State 4x1 did beat you guys. You guys were 2nd. No big deal.
Well, we had an 800. We had an 800 runner on our 4x1. So if y'all didn't beat us,
I know,
y'all needed to have y'all ass.
Goddamn A team. I know. Listen.
No, that was the 18. That's what I'm saying.
Oh shit.
That So get this. My first 2 years at Illinois, we were like super stacked in the short events.
Yes.
My last 2 years at Illinois, we were not. Like my senior year, I ran the 100. I made the finals, don't get me wrong, but
this is true.
I was one of the top 100 meter runners, on the team, which is insane. So my last 2 years at Illinois, we had 2, 2 can do everything, which was me and Yvonne, a 400 hurdler and an 800 runner. That was our 4x1.
Okay. Was that also your 4x4?
Well, so junior year, that was a 4x1 and the 4x4.
Okay.
Senior year, we had a freshman on our 4x1.
Okay.
And it was a freshman who spent the majority of the year with stress fractures.
Ooh.
So part of the reason why y'all ended up catching us that year is because she and I rarely had an opportunity to practice our exchange.
Okay.
And it was horrible. It was. So I mixed up my years. 2004 was the year we had an 800 runner on there.
Okay.
2005, we had 2 freshmen. And like I said, one of them, which was the second leg, handing off to me, she had stress fractures almost the entire year. So we all actually ended up dropping the baton at regionals.
Oh shit. Damn.
Because like I said, we could rarely practice our exchanges because it was always like she only has so many runs in these shins. So we there were a lot of times where the only time we practiced our exchange was when we were doing warm-ups at the meet.
Nice.
So I do believe our exchange was horrible. And that was where we lost some ground. And then I had to make up a little bit of it on my leg. And then Yvonne brought us back to where we ended up on her leg at anchor.
Okay.
But yeah, it was cool. Y'all can have it because we won the team title.
You did. I looked at it. We were second place. Y'all won. So that was the meet for me. It was one of my worst meets. I ran like dog shit. Have you ever had one of those moments where like you're trying to run and your body can do it and your mind can do it, but they're not talking to each other? Like it's like a dream where you're like trying to run, but you can't. Like it's just I couldn't move to like another gear, both in the open 4 and the 4x4. It was just like I don't know. I don't think I was injured, but it was just like I was mentally trying. Maybe I was trying too hard. It was a weird day. I felt like I was like running through
that was
like water.
That was my outdoor.
Yeah, Ohio State.
Yeah, outdoor season my junior year. I felt like that in a lot of my races. It's like, yeah, I'm in the finals, but there is no outdoor junior year was at Minnesota, I think.
Okay, yeah. Senior year for you was Ohio State, yeah.
Yeah, I think 2004 outdoor was Minnesota and 2005 outdoor. Yeah, 2005 outdoor was at Ohio State. And remember it rained like crazy the first day.
That's probably why I didn't run. I don't run well in the rain. It's terrible. I melt. Yeah. That was it.
It rained something serious the first day. And in I ended up running probably 120 meters of the 200 with one eye closed because, I have contact. This big disrespectful raindrop like went right in my eye. And I'm like, if I don't close my eye, this contact lens is going to float right on out. And so, yeah, I ran the whole last part of the 200 with one eye closed.
Okay, this is my sister. My sister, she spent her graduation in Columbus in that rain. Yeah, so my sister was graduating college. She was going to go to her graduation, but my parents were like, well, we're going to go to Sherry's track meet. So my sister skipped her graduation, went to our track meet. That's right. And I ran like shit. It was pouring rain. It was miserable. But Jody, you got to see Snacks do well. So
I missed my graduation because I was at Big Tens.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah, we all missed it. But yeah, Jody got to do that as well. I forgot about that.
And my mom was there and she was a trooper. She sat out there in that rain.
There goes my snacky poop. Yay. So what would you say is your favorite memory from your college running career?
The athlete party at nationals.
Jerry didn't know she was watching you. Well, you were,
because
Jerry.
You see like all of these super high level athletes, most of them you knew the ones that were going pro, like Sonya Richards and and like there are no coaches because they all leave and go to their own party. And you had all of these people who were just doing these phenomenal things on the track and everybody's drunk. And like getting real crazy. I think like half the Texas girls was getting ready to fight one year, my sophomore year at the athlete party. We ran around looking for alcoholic beverages in Baton Rouge, but like all we could find were like some Smirnoff ices or something at the gas station. So yeah, definitely that is my favorite memory. And then winning Big Tens my senior year. It's a tie between the athlete party and then winning, because I worked my ass off. I did 5 or 6 events. And when we were finally able to hoist the trophy and it wasn't fucking Michigan, like the level of celebration, because we knew we were winning going into the 4x4.
Yeah.
So we were already, I'm like, we were sick of Michigan winning.
Hey, we won in there too. Don't forget about us.
Yeah,
but it was like, usually Michigan. Yeah.
We were so sick of them. And so to finally beat Michigan, and not just beat Michigan, but be on top of the conference, like dealing with what we dealt with in that stupid rain, and then the next day it was super hot. That's like, those are my two favorite memories from college.
So I cannot hear, whenever I hear the from the window to the wall, I think of the after party in Sacramento, California after NCAA.
Yes. Oh my God. So that was the party that got broken up because people were getting ready to fight.
Yes.
And to this day, I blame the music, because it was all Lil Jon, the East Side Boy.
That shit.
And Bone Crusher. I'm like, this is some aggressive ass music. Like, and we just running. Everybody got their little heels on, and it was, yeah, that party was off the chain. Like Baton Rouge was nice, but Sacramento was crazy.
That shit was wild, and I didn't run because I just went there as the alternate for the 4x1. So I just was. Oh
chilling. Yeah, that was the track. Remember, they had trials at that track, and that was the first time that they had painted the exchange zones a different color from the rest of the track. And I just thought that was so cool. And now, everybody does it.
Yeah, but everyone does it.
It was really cool in 2003.
Yeah, it was our innovative times. But yeah, whenever I hear that song, I could not think of that party. It was a fucking mess. Like all of the top athletes in the country in track in one room.
And everybody's about to tear each other's heads off.
With Little John going off and some dudes trying to fight, and the girls fighting each other, and the little distance runners like, why am I here? And the big throwers
so you just saw all the little distance runners just scatter. Like all of the sprinters and the jumpers, we in there like, what's about to happen? You just see all the little distance runners like, nope, this is not my jam. So I'm thinking about my favorite memory, and I forgot we met Mr. Miyagi, Pat Morita, drunk off his ass at a wedding at Mount Sac.
No way.
Stayed, yes. So we stayed in this like super posh golf resort hotel when we went to Mount Sac. And so there was this big, huge wedding downstairs in the ballroom. We're on our way out to go to dinner. Red-faced Mr. Miyagi, drunk as fuck.
Wow.
Outside of the ballroom. So that's my favorite memory, hands down. Because we were all looking like, is that Mr. Miyagi? That is Mr. Miyagi. Like, I feel like we were real disrespectful because nobody was calling him by his real name. We were all like, that's Mr. Miyagi.
I didn't know his real name.
Super fucking drunk.
Oh man. I love Mount Sac. That was one of my favorite meets. Wasted.
That was one of my favorite meets too, because we also went to the Pomona invite. So we would make a big week.
No, we would do the Long Beach invite too.
We Yeah, we did the Pomona and Mount Sac in that
Yeah.
weekend and made a huge weekend of it in California. And so yeah, nope. The athlete party was great. Winning Big Tens was great, but seeing drunk ass Mr. Miyagi and he like complimenting all of us and trying to talk to all of us, not talk to us like that, but just like, oh my God, why are you guys here? And that, hands down, my favorite memory.
Nice. I love it. And this is the thing, like, track track is so different from other sports in college because we go places and we're there for days at a time, sometimes with little to no supervision, like just wandering the streets. For us, it was Penn Relays. We would just be wandering the streets of Philly for a whole weekend.
Very
We
little
just walk,
supervision.
and it would be
so
co-ed as well.
Gary hated Penn Relays, and I was always so bitter because I just knew when I get because you saw Penn Relays on the Cosby Show. Yeah, so I'm like, yo, if I'm running track in college, I'm going to Penn Relays. No, we went to freaking Drake.
Which, I mean, now is turned into quite a prestigious meet in its own right. But yeah, there's nothing like Penn Relays. And you did.
We went to Drake when Drake still had a straightaway in the middle of the back curve.
Okay. Yeah. So old time. And you never, yeah, did you ever run at the Armory or the one in, was it Reggie Lewis Center in Boston? Because you guys didn't really go to the East Coast in the indoors, did you?
We didn't go to the East Coast at all. We went south and west. So we went to El Paso. We went to Texas Relays. Like I said, we went to Drake, but we didn't even get a chance to go. They started going to like C-Ray Relays and stuff like that when Tanja took over the team. Okay. Tanja Buford Bailey, when she took over the team. But like Gary never wanted to go to those like big, grand, it's too much shit to get into type meets because, when we went to Texas Relays, my trainer who had originally, he came to us from Texas. He went out and got shit-faced drunk at Texas Relays, was hung over the next day. So this story is really funny. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to put him on blast like that. But he went out, got shit-faced drunk, was hung over the next day. Our coach realizes that he's hungover, puts him in the back of the van, like in the back seat of this van. He farts. The smell of his own fart made him nauseous, and he threw up in the back of the van.
No.
And I am obnoxious. My laugh is obnoxious.
I can just hear your laugh.
I am. First of all, at the top of the lungs, I'm like, somebody farted. That was the first thing. And so he was already pissed about that. And so Randy is like, oh yeah, who did that? It's making my stomach hurt. Dude, it was you. We all know it was you with your drunk ass. I don't even think he realized he was the one that farted.
No, yeah.
And then he threw up. And I was like, is he throwing up? And I'm just dying.
No.
In the van. I am dying. My coach is pissed. I'm laughing. He think I'm laughing because he's pissed. I'm really laughing at what happened it was just a complete shit show. And we did not go back to Texas Relays after that because they like, no, you can't go back and be around your friends. You don't know how to act.
Fair. When we would go, so we were still going to C-Ray Relays. However, the women's track team was not allowed to stay anywhere close to campus, my freshman year, because of the shenanigans people got into with the Tennessee men's team. Which, by the way, I'm not saying I got into shenanigans myself in college, but I might have a few times. Penn Relays, multiple others. But yeah, there was this dude, I'm not going to name names, but that I would talk to, flirt with, yada, yada. at like the indoor, or sorry, the summer track in high school for a couple years. He ended up running at Tennessee. So like me just going right in, just fit right into the whole Penn State women, Tennessee male. Yo, but yeah, man, the shit that would go on, especially if we didn't fly out to the next day.
Right. So like we don't have any competition. We don't have nothing to get ready for.
Nope.
We got all this per diem that we did not spend, and you just sitting there and it's like, well, what else are we supposed to do?
Go get into some, or if you only run one event, sometimes you go to a meet and you're only running. Well, you wouldn't know about that, but
I'm like, I was never that lucky.
I always was running at least the second day, or I had to be ready. Like I might not be running the 4 but you know what I mean? But there are other people that were, just, they would run one event and that was it. And they'd be like, so what's next? And you'd be like, oh,
so
what is next?
My senior year, I ran the Open 4 at Mount Sac, which, I was very proud that I was fast enough to qualify because, they didn't take everybody. They only allowed a limited number of entries. Yep. So I was very proud of myself that I was fast enough to qualify. But the race was at night, and I was the only one. I was like one of 2 people who had to run. So my whole team is off kicking it. And where am I? At the damn track getting ready to run the 4. By the time I got back, I'm ready to go to bed.
Right.
So there were definite times where shenanigans were missed out on because I had to freaking run.
Ain't that, yeah, track sometimes got in the way of our life of parties. So now, moving on, now you are the coach of
I'm taking this year off, but I am a coach.
I didn't know you were taking this year off.
So last year was a lot of drama, and I dealt with somebody else's ego, not being able to handle that I was the one having the success with my group of kids. And when you're dealing with that, it kind of takes the joy out of it for you. And then one of the people, well, the main person that I was going to be coaching with this year passed from COVID on Christmas.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And so it was just like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to, jump down with anybody else. I'm just going to take this year off. And I'm thinking about becoming a certified official because if you haven't been to a track meet in a long time, but it's full of old people running the meet because young people don't, I don't know if they don't want to experience track from that side or they just, want to get paid. And a lot of times officials are volunteers. But I've, experienced track from the athlete side. I've experienced track from the coaching side. So I think I'm going to go ahead and become an official and then get back into coaching for next school year. But yeah, I've been in it for 10 years now.
So how is it as like, I've never coached. Like, what do you get just as nervous? Do you get more frustrated? How is it as a coach being on that side?
As a coach, you really don't have time to get nervous because I'm a very, very hands-on coach. So when it's time to practice blocks, so you know how some coaches would send the sprint contingent over to the blocks and they practice by themselves.
Yeah,
and they might come over there and watch 1 or 2. But for the most part, it's athletes coaching each other. That's not me. When my girls or guys, because I did coach both, we all at the blocks together because I don't want, I might have them do a few by themselves, but you cannot come away from that area until I have seen you do it and, make sure you're doing it properly. I'm the mom coach. So I'm going to get ice packs and finding snacks and making sure people are warming up when they supposed to and running back and forth to this event and that event. And I've coached, jumps and sprints.
Yep.
So I have to be over at long jump while also watching baton exchanges. So I don't really have time to get nervous because I'm always on the go, like always on the go. But it is still, it's nerve-wracking because everything is out of your control. Once the gun goes off, there is not anything I can do to except scream at the top of my lungs, which I'm really good at. I make sure that my kids I make sure my kids hear me. I'm usually the loudest coach, in the field house, or even when we get outside, they can always hear me. But that's the nerve-wracking part of it. It's like, okay, I know we put in the work, I know I designed a good program, I know I've planned the season out well, but once you out there and you strip down and you standing at those blocks, there's literally nothing you can do. So I think that's the only negative that I mean, and then, I just wasn't in the right situation for me coaching wise last year. And so, like I said, dealing with that ego and, somebody, and you would think, why not take credit for hiring me? You're the one who hired me. So why can't you just be like, oh yeah, they're doing good and that's my hire. But it was like, no, because there couldn't be credit taken for the work that I was doing with my athletes. It was just a thing. So, but I mean, it's super rewarding to see that what you have planned and what you have designed is enabling somebody to be successful, or, whatever their definition of success is, whether it's winning a race or PRing or something like that. And, but finally being able to cuss out asshole officials, I could not, because, as an athlete, you kind of have to take it. First of all, because if you cuss back, you can get disqualified for language. But you have some officials who just do too much. And now you can't do too much because I'm not an athlete anymore, honey. And then some of the officials were officials when I was running, and they're still officials. Or, some of the coaches that some of the coaches that were coaching when I was a high school athlete, now they're seeing me coach. And I think that's really cool because they all come, I remember when you were such and such and such and such. And I'm like, yeah. And, now my athletes are beating your athletes. And that makes me happy. So that's been pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, I love it how Chris had to go, and there's nothing like typing in a message and having typos in there. But hey, lad. No, he meant hey, ladies. Love you, Chris. And, you're not just an athlete that went over to coach and be like, yeah, because I ran fast, I know how to coach. You actually have certifications, you have training, you have all that other stuff. Tell us a little bit about those items.
So I am a certified youth coach with USA Track and Field. I have my Illinois, whatever the hell it's called, I forgot. First aid, obviously. So if you're dying, I can save you. All of those things, you have to know how to recognize head injuries. And so you go through the whole concussion thing. I know not to take PEDs, but I also know which PEDs to take to get better, because you also have to learn that. But other than that, I do a lot of self-study. I have a certification in sports psychology.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not a degree, but
but you still studied for it.
And I've done a lot of self-study, teaching styles. I have a lot of ad hoc certificates that would
Yep.
like add up to an official certification, but I still have to go through some of those official processes,
Right. Yeah.
which is annoying. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I didn't just, the only event I can say I kind of didn't, when I first started out, I didn't study it a lot because I did it and was good at it, was long
Mm-hmm.
jump.
Okay.
I'm like,
Just
man,
the
I
look at
know
you
long
snatch,
jump. I did
hamstring.
long
Yeah.
jump. I know how to measure this. I mean, I'm like, I can do this. Don't worry about it. And
Yeah.
then I was like, it was, there would be issues that I didn't quite know how to fix because
Yep.
I didn't have those issues. And so I was like, oh, guess I need to get out there and get some studying done for that as well.
Yep. And
And then I had to learn my own way, like my own way of season planning. I don't
okay.
season
Mm-hmm.
plan
Mm-hmm.
like most other coaches. Most other coaches go by meets. They start at the end of the year, what they want to accomplish, and go
Mm-hmm. And
backwards.
work backwards.
I
Yep.
kind of approach it like a football coach. I approach it like a football coach, where if it's week to week.
Mm-hmm.
So there may be sometimes, like the first month before the meet start, I will plan out that whole first month. But once I get to the meet, what I analyze the race.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do? What did you not execute well in that race? That is what we're going to work on and practice the next week. Because one of the things I noticed is when your whole group is doing the same training, most of the time, your whole group is having the same execution issue. And if not, you can still use the same workout, but give each athlete a different emphasis.
Mm-hmm.
And that will still allow them to work on whatever the issue they had in their race while not having to completely segment the training, per person. Like you it gets more personalized once you get to college, but you can't
Right.
personalize for 20 kids. But you could take, 20 kids and 7 of them have to do it this way because they're having this issue. 7 of them have to do it this way because they're having this issue. And the rest of them are doing it another way because they're having another issue. So that's been one of the things that sometimes it's hard to get, people to understand, because it's like, no, you're not going to get a full season plan from me because I've done that before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was changing so much because I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is supposed to be a max velocity week, but nobody really had problems with max velocity. So
Okay. Mm-hmm.
why am I working on that? We need to be working on finish work. And so I would spend so much time changing it. And I'm like, I'm not about to spend the hours that it takes and sometimes days to plan out a full season and then have to spend further hours changing the whole plan.
Yeah.
So when I realized that that's what was going on and it was easier for me to go week to week, what I started seeing was when you correct the problems immediately, it leads to results immediately.
Right, because you don't create those bad habits. You nip it at the bud, and then you're able to build on the stuff that you worked on the prior week. So if you're working on one thing, then you can take it step by step. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've listened to you talk about
dealing with
hips and this, so I know that you are very disciplined first, and that comes that, and then
I am super, super detailed, and I'm all about building on the process.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're dealing with kids in the microwave generation. When we were younger, it was easier to say, okay, what you're doing right now, you may not see immediate returns from it, but by the time we get to the end of the season, you're going to be at your best. These kids will quit if they, I'm not getting no faster. And what I noticed was when I was correcting what they were doing wrong, when they were doing it wrong, the next week they would get faster. And even if it's just 1/10, it's still faster.
Faster.
Right. Mm-hmm. I was able to retain more kids and do a lot less crisis management, so to speak, because they were seeing incremental progress every single week. and they were still able to get to where I wanted them to be and where they wanted to be by the end of the season, but they didn't have to wait until the end of the season to get results.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, there was some trial and error, and I, learned from a lot of different people. I was fortunate to run in high school and college with world-renowned coaches.
Absolutely.
And so there were approaches from both of them that I took. Like Gary was a nerd like me. He wrote a math book. My college coach wrote a math book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that's where, looking at things from a numerical perspective came from, looking at them from a scientific perspective, because he would give us like all of the technical. I didn't know what imperial weights were because he did everything metrically. So I had to reteach myself the American way, because when I was in college, everything was kilos and meters, and I'm like, I don't know what pounds are. What I know
we talked about
you
max is 100 kilos. Like, I don't know. You'll be like, yeah, jump whatever, and I'm like, what's that in feet? You're like I don't know. Like, yeah.
I gotta go get the book, because I know 580 is a good jump, but don't ask me what it is.
I know,
it is, if it's a good jump in feet and inches. And like, I spent a lot of time when I first got into coaching, especially when I was first coaching boys, because I was not aware that, a boy running a certain time, depending on where they are in high school, is still good. I'm like, that's slow. I've had girls that ran that. They're like, he's a freshman.
Let me just
he's a freshman. And they're like, no, Shanna, he's a freshman. He hasn't had his growth spurt yet. That's actually really good. And I'm just like, oh, I just told him that was slow.
I am dying.
So there was a huge learning curve when it was like, I mean, huge learning curve when I started coaching boys. Very, very large learning curve.
Yeah.
And then it's like, now I get it. Now it's like, okay, he ran 11.8 and I ran 11.8 as well, but I ran 11.8 as a senior and he's running 11.8 as a freshman. So there's still
growth spurt. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He can still get the second off of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. We haven't started really lifting yet. He hasn't gotten into his technique yet. So it's like, okay, that's pretty good. But it took me sending a couple of kids off and making a couple of kids cry before I was like, oh, wait. So that's actually good for
it's actually not bad. Come back.
I'm like, come back. So I was actually on a team full of superhuman individuals when I like you come to, when you're on a team like mine, you come to expect that. And so when I started coaching and those girls were not running what my teammates were running when I was in high school, it was like, wait, I don't know. I don't think I can do this, because I'm supposed to applaud a 13.5 in the 100. I can't do that. I've never seen that. I don't.
At least you tried.
Right. Like, but you won. Wait, how?
Ooh.
So there was a very significant learning curve when I first started coaching. And then with me looking as young as I do,
you're my sister.
I would go to track meets and I'm, walking my kids and they're like, oh, where's the coach? Like, really?
Me?
I have on whole blue jeans,
Maybe you're an injured athlete.
I'm the coach. Like that, and I would be, I always got food. Only the athletes can bring food in. So I'm getting ready. I turn around to get ready to hand my food to one of the girls. And they're like, oh, no, you're an athlete. You're fine. And I'm just like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to walk in here with my food.
Right. Well, this works.
I'm not even going to go through it. I've had people refuse to give me the packet Like
Okay.
only the coach can come and pick up the packet. I'm the coach. So it was like I have a whole. I got a stopwatch around my neck. I have a tablet and a clipboard. Like this. I'm the
Oh,
coach.
isn't she cute? She dressed up as the coach today. Aw.
I've had somebody say, "Oh, isn't that nice? She's trying to help her coach out." I'm the coach. And you can't really get mad because they don't know. But part of the reason why it took me so long to start coaching is because I'm going into these high schools and these kids think I'm their age and they want to talk to me. And no, I've been asked to prom a few different times. And I'm just like, I'm an adult, like a whole adult.
I'm not going to prom with you.
I can't go to prom with you. That would be a crime.
Sister's also laughing.
It's just not okay. So I started coaching, but I started with elementary school kids.
Okay, yeah.
And I had somebody say, I don't think this is for you. And I'm like, why? And they like, because it's supposed to be fun for the kids. I'm like, winning is fun. I want to win.
Win at all costs, you little fuckers. Get out there and run.
And I'm like, wait, we just did this in practice. What you mean you don't know? So then it was like, okay, let me go ahead and make this leap to high school because I do not have the personality for the babies. I just don't. I have tried. But the little kids need you to repeat things.
Yeah,
I hate
it's a lot different. Yeah.
Yeah. So I finally was like, F it. If I look young, I look young. I'm gonna have I just had to be prepared. The girls were gonna test me and the boys were also going to test me, but in a whole completely different way. And once I accepted that and started teaching at the same time, that was when I was like, okay, now I got my teacher voice. I know how to use my teacher voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to use my teacher voice with these kids.
Yeah.
So that was when it was like, okay, now I can go ahead and make this transition to high school.
Fantastic.
But it took a while. It definitely took a while.
So I just was thinking of another things that set you off. I can't remember what the subject was, but there was an epic mansplaining that happened on Facebook. It was like you, me, and my sister, and someone was trying to explain track to you. And you're a whole fucking coach with all these degrees, and it was some random dude that ran one time in high school. I think it was when DK Metcalf was running in that meet, and someone was trying to say, "Oh yeah, he could make it to the trial."
That was it. And I'm like, football speed and track speed are not the same.
No.
And it's like, well, I ran track, and not only okay, yeah, you ran track. You ran the 800. Stop trying to talk to me about the 200. I ran the 200. Not only did I run the 200, I coached the 200. So what you not about to do is tell me about the 200. I definitely remember that. And going back to, I'm like right back in that irritated headspace because I remember. And I'm like, bro, this is like what I get. I get paid to know these things. I get paid to be able to say, DK Metcalf, while he may run a respectable time, he ain't making nobody's final, bro.
No,
it's not going to happen.
Qualifying for the Olympic trials. He did better than I thought he would do, but he still didn't run fast for a track sprinter. He did not.
He ran fast for a gigantic wide receiver.
Yeah, but he got last in his preliminary heat.
And I'm like, I don't even think I don't even think he was good at track in high school. Like no, Tyreek Hill was good at track in high school.
If Tyreek Hill was like, I am going to go and try to qualify for the Olympics in the 100, I'd be like, you lost a lot of years to your sprint trainer, but I think he could do it.
But with the right, if you dive deep into it and train for real,
if he dedicated a year to it, I would not be shocked to see him at least get into that relay pool. That man is fast. He is,
but
he was fast in high school. Like he is track fast. He is not.
Mm-hmm. And then you have other people who don't know that Chris Collinsworth was a 100-meter state champ.
Right, he was fast.
faster than DK Metcalf.
Yeah, a lot faster.
Like,
And he ran like a 4.3, I
yeah,
think,
in
40.
40.
And that was back then before all the training that they really have now. And
Yeah,
that was the
like
other
super.
thing that you were texting me something after we were watching the Milrose games on Saturday. Or no, it was after one of the college meets, and you started going off on a tangent. And I was like, hold that for
You
the
talking about
podcast.
shoe tech?
Yes. So times don't just seem like they're getting faster in track. Times are getting faster.
They
Tell us,
are
Coach.
getting faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I know a lot of it is because training modalities have improved dramatically. The amount of time that you can now spend with athletes training because of also recovery methods advancing ridiculously. Those are all a factor. But just like we went through the era in swimming with those super suits, and like everybody and their mama was breaking records and swimming faster than you really are supposed to be swimming, to the point where those suits eventually got banned because they were providing too big of an advantage. They have already been talking about disqualifying marathon results because of a new Nike shoe.
Really?
Because of the energy return and the way that the shoe is designed. They're saying that the shoe is enabling some of these marathon runners to be running, because if you remember, a lot of marathon records have been going down. A lot.
The women's half and full this year for American
And
records.
And so a lot of it, there was a big, controversy. Is it the training? Is it the athlete? Or is it the shoe? And so what I wanted to look at is if some of that same technology is being applied to spikes. And it is. Nike Sprint spikes are like so technologically advanced. And so when I look at some of these, superhuman times that are being run, I always look at their shoes. Like, do they have on Nikes, or, are they running in Adidas spikes, or are they running in New Balance? And like, when is it going to get to the point where all of the shoe companies catch up to where Nike is? Or are we going to get to a point where some Nike spikes are not going to be allowed because of this new design, where it allows for greater energy return between foot stripes? So yeah, I'm super excited that the sport is moving forward. I'm super excited that we seeing all of these kids, because of something is in the food, something is in the water. These babies, I don't know what is going on, but can we say for 100% fact that the shoe tech has nothing to do with it?
Right. And it's not just the shoe, it's also the actual tracks themselves are these surfaces, especially at these. I mean, they were saying the one at Tokyo was like basically running on a springboard. Some of these tracks are just built to get that nice return, which makes it fair because everyone's running on the same track at least. But the shoe, people are going to be having different shoes.
Right. And then like with so many now indoor facilities being built with bank tracks.
Yeah.
Are we gonna get to a point where all of the indoor tracks are now going to have, be able to be banked? Because even the track that was built here in Chicago, at the Gately, it has a hydraulic system. It can be banked.
Yep. And back in college,
is that going to be?
It has to be the standard. That was a big reason why I loved Penn State, was we had that hydraulic track, that hydraulic Mondo surface track, way before a lot of colleges had it. The only problem was when we ran at Big Tens at other schools, we'd have to drop down to these flat ass concrete tracks, and it was like, oh, the fuck is this shit? But yeah.
So my freshman year, indoor Big Tens was at Penn State. And because indoor Big Tens was at Penn State, we had to go to, other facilities that had a bank. And we did a lot of downhill training and practice. I think Nebraska also had a bank track at the time. So we went to a meet in freaking Nebraska. I spent my 19th birthday on a bus in Nebraska. Yeah, it was 19. It was whack. But and so I was never really a fan of bank tracks, and I think that's because I trained on a flat track. And so the speed on a bank is so completely different because you have that downhill, acceleration. And if you don't train on that regularly, it's hard to
It
control.
is.
You feel
Yep.
like you're going to
Mm-hmm.
fall. Like it completely throws off your race plan because you're coming off of the curve way faster than you should be coming off of a curve. And so luckily for me, when I ran the 4x4, so he put me first,
Mm.
but I was in lane one. Thank God. Because
Oh,
I'm like, there's no way. First of all, I'm a freshman. Why are you
yeah.
putting me first anyway? I actually went in a corner and cried, like literally tears down my face because I'm a freshman. This is my first indoor conference meet. I didn't even know I was gonna run the 4x4. I was an alternate. And not only am I on it, I'm first.
First.
Oh, this will not do. This will not do. And so, but I was in lane one.
Okay, so
And
you
so
didn't
it's
have
like,
to
yeah,
deal.
I did not have, or lane one or lane two,
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
whichever one was on the insidemost lane that they decided to use, that's where
Probably
I
two.
was.
Yeah, we didn't use lane
Normally
one
that
very
would
much.
have been normally that would have been a pain in the ass for me, but it's like at least when it's time to cut, I just had to cut over to one lane,
Oh, see,
don't
and I would have wanted to
and
be
I
in
didn't
lane
have to deal with the
6,
strictly back. But
lane
see,
5
because
or
you
6.
ran on that track
And that's
all
the
the
thing, when
time.
you run it all the
No,
time, that you get, yeah, yeah. So before
when we went
we,
to
oh, go ahead.
no, because I was just about to talk about a whole nother bank, Arkansas track.
Mm-hmm. Great track.
It is
If you know
it's
how
a
to run,
lovely facility, a
it is a very nice
great
facility.
track. Everybody wants, they're always meet there. But that bank is off the chain. I feel like they rose their track up higher than everybody else.
Yeah, theirs is. I swear, it's got to be higher than Penn
I
State.
know
It's
that's not a
wild.
thing, but
It's
I feel like they
it's
did.
it's yeah. Some things do seem steeper. So before we go into our commercial break, and I ask you your final question, your final question for this part of the interview is: what advice would you give to a young athlete that wants to run or do their sport at the collegiate level?
What advice would I give to a young? That's a really good question. I would say do not specialize. And I know that seems like it doesn't make any sense, but when you doing your sport for a particular time of the year,
Mm-hmm.
when you play other sports, you are active, you're cross training for the most part because, you're training your body in different ways and you're able to do it all year round. For track athletes specifically, if you can run summer track, because
Absolutely.
I got the most exposure in terms of a bunch of college coaches
Mm-hmm.
in one place running summer track. Because even if you only make it to Junior Olympics and you don't make the final, there are coaches there every day, so you don't have to be in the top 8 in the nation to get a scholarship.
Nope, because for
But at the
every
same time,
LSU,
like especially if
yep,
you're from
there's smaller schools.
there's division. Oh, and do not focus on division 1. You still get money when you go division 2. You
Mm-hmm.
still get money when you go NAIA. So do not have a division 1 or bust mentality, because there are so many different ways to be able to participate and do what you love and get paid for it. besides just going to Division One. So those would be my 3 tips. Don't specialize. If there is some other sport you can play that other sport. Track kids, definitely find a way to run summer track, and do not have a Division One or bust mentality.
I love it.
And watch your social media, because these coaches are on your Facebook page. They are on your Instagram. They are looking at your Snapchat. If you on TikTok, they're looking at your TikTok, and they are not going to have anybody in their program that's doing craziness and foolishness on the internet. You will lose out on opportunities if you on social media doing the fool.
Bam.
So yeah, those are my 4 biggest tips.
Fantastic.
Well, I feel strange because none of them involve athletics, but we didn't talk about, academics, but we didn't. We're only talking about sports.
Yeah, we are. On that note, we're going to jump to commercial, and then I will bring you your final question.
Tranquility, Trey Bella. Alleviate the stress of your day. A fresh approach to nail care service at the top of the pampering scale. Awaken your senses with no chemical smells. Relax. We're at your service with professional, personalized treatments. Enjoy a manicure or pedicure tailored to you. Trey Bella Nail Spa, 10349 South Halsted in Chicago. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Trey Bella Nail Spa, or book at TreyBellaNailSpa.com.
And we're back. Are you ready for your final question?
I hope so.
Who will win the Super Bowl?
You. You
know that was gonna be your final question.
So, are you asking me what my head says or what my heart says?
Ooh, give me your headspace first.
The Rams.
Okay. But your heart's in Cincinnati?
Absolutely. I love Joe Burrow. I think he is just like super cool and super awesome. And I would love to see him become the first Heisman winner, first number 1 draft pick, Super Bowl champ. I would absolutely love to see that, because nobody has ever done it. But my head is saying the Bengals offensive line is trash, and the Rams front 4 is ferocious, and Joe Burrow is in for a long, long day with a lot of trips to the turf. That's what my head is telling me.
That's what, I love my Stafford. So I am going Rams all day.
I would not have expected you to pick again. For me, I'm just happy he has an opportunity to play in a Super Bowl. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm always going to hate the Lions. Love you, hate the Lions. But Matthew Stafford, pay his... It's like when KG went to Boston and won his title. It's like, I just saw your cat.
There's the laugh.
That is hilarious. So yeah, when KG went to Boston and he finally had an opportunity to win, I was so happy for him, because he spent all of those years just, toiling away. I am happy that Matthew Stafford, literally a year to the day from him being traded, was playing to go to the Super Bowl. That was just a really cool moment, and I'm super, super happy that he has that opportunity.
And yes, JB, go Aaron Donald.
I want to see Joe Burrow do what has never been done. I just want to see it.
Well, he can win next year. I need Stafford to win. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to finish with your shout outs. Who would you like to give a shout out to today?
Shoot, I don't even know who's watching. So I'm just gonna give a general shout out to anybody who loves me and is watching. Hopefully my brother was watching because he was so excited that I was gonna be on. So hey Brandon, I hope you're there. But yeah, if you are one of my peoples and you hopped on to support because I was gonna be on, yes, I love Sherry, but if you hopped on to see me, thank you so very much. I appreciate your view and I appreciate it, having extra eyes on my Bestie Boo's program. And shout out to you, Sherry Pooh.
Thank you
for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Cool.
I am one of the loudest, humble people you'll ever meet in your life. So the fact that you deemed me cool enough and badass enough to be on this show with some of the lineup of badass women you have had on here, it just really touches my heart.
I mean, when I wrote the first draft, you were on it. It was just because I'm only trying to do one track person a month. It was like, well,
I get
it. You were going to get on here. Trust me, you were on the short list. First of all, because you're my bestie, but second of all, because your career was fucking badass.
Thank you.
You're definitely, and you're technically still a legend in the state of Illinois.
That is still really strange for me to hear. Like every now and then I'll go to a track meet as a coach and they're like, oh yeah, she was an IHSA legend. And I'm like, who you talking about? Me? Oh, you're talking about me. Okay, I'll take
it. Absolutely. Well, I'll give my shout outs to the network, the Chicago Clubhouse podcast, LEC. What up, D-Sun, all my guys, T-Nick, JB, Chris, AB. I know not everyone watches it live. Some people watch it later, which is fine. I do that myself. But really, shout out to all of them. Shout out to the Chicago Blitz for letting me come hang out with them. I'll be coming to all of their games as well. And happy Black History Month. Every day this month, I will be posting an awesome Black female athlete on the She Said What She Said Facebook page. I'll try to remember to do it every single day, but there's so many to choose from. I'm trying to not just do track people because there are a ton of amazing women across the board.
I'm biased, so I'm like, do a track girl every day.
Fair. So on that note, that is the show. Thank you for watching.
This has been a Chicago Clubhouse Network production. We out!
Bye, y'all!